buckle up, because it's gonna be a long ride. It's gonna be a wild ride. Nobody cares, but we're gonna tell you anyways. This is Popcorn Chats. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's your return. Is it? Yeah. Okay, what's up, oh my god, we don't have Sunnies on today. Tragic. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Popcorn Chats. I'm McKay.
I'm Katie.
And I know what you're here for. You're here to listen to us talk about After We Fell. They made that shit so exclusive that we couldn't even go to the movie theater and see
for
it.
what, too?
For what? Our movie theater had one showtime on Thursday at 7 o'clock when Katie was working, so we could not attend, and we were hoping that Friday morning, when it was supposed to be, like, out worldwide, that we were going to be able to rent it online. You could not. It literally was nowhere. I checked literally every website I could not find it. We will have to wait. I think it's coming to like HBO Max. It's coming to some streaming service at the end of October. So we'll be covering it as soon as that's out. But for right now, we're having to improvise an episode basically this week is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
Which, if you're new here, our improvised episodes, they
They're a hit or a miss.
Which
we've been doing a lot recently. And I was
we'll
just
see.
Listening to like our TV pilots episode on my way over here because I had a bit of a long drive because I'm a dumb bitch. But I was just like, damn, who are those girls? Like, really?
We're
who
so
are they?
professional.
And I thought, like, and that was not that long ago. Because the TV pilots one, well, maybe it was long ago, but, like, we thought we were tragic back then, too. Like, I'm sure if you would have asked us back then, like, how do you feel about yourself? We would have been like, garbage.
Garbage hot.
But now, how are we worse? Like, how are we worse? Because I'm just listening to that, and, like, this woman is actually respectable.
Wow.
Listening to myself. And then now, like, I just got sent home early from my part-time job for being on my phone.
I feel like, though, we really can't ever get any worse than our Monica Lewinsky episode as an icon, our pre-gaming Applebee's. I think that is the worst of the worst, and I can't imagine us ever doing a worse episode than that one.
That one was really,
because even
really
recording
bad.
it, like, sometimes when we're recording, it's like, oh, you know, I don't really feel like this is going, like, as well. You can kind of tell if an episode's, like, flowing well or not. And even in that one, I was like, this is going to be utter garbage. And it is utter garbage.
Ew,
when we're frozen.
I hate that. Ew, my profile makes me want to fucking kill myself. That is such
Why?
Because do you not see how god awful that looks?
It's not like, really even like your profile.
It's enough to make me want to jump off a bridge.
I don't think that should be warranted.
Please get this out of my sight. Yeah, and I feel like that Monica Lewinsky episode was like the beginning of the downfall.
It was.
Because that was right before
the
incident of May. Wow, damn. But you know what? We've said it once before that, like, the more tragic we get, the more famous we get, so.
That's a fact.
Also, in the TV pilots episode, you're like, should I start a book too? Would you guys watch if I started a book too?
Stop it!
Isn't that so cute? And now you're, like, monetized and all big and...
Really?
Yeah!
That's so cute!
You should go back and listen to it. It was really cute.
Okay, I will. Aww.
And that's, like, crazy, because that was not that long ago, and, like, how far you've come since then.
Yeah.
It's just wild.
I haven't edited my video for this week. I'm being lazy. I feel like now that I don't know why, like, I used to be like, I need to be uploading it this time every single week. And over the past, like, month, I've just been like, if I get a video up this week, I'm gonna call it a win. Not that I'm not enjoying it any less. It's just I feel like I've been behind on, like, everything in life.
Me too. I just feel really, like, let's just get into a check-in.
Yeah.
I feel really scatterbrained.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I drove to your apartment instead of driving here to your parents' home that you are watching while they're away. I don't know what's going on with me, but I just feel very unhealthy, too. I think I'm gonna get sick again after we stood in the rain for 2 hours. And my eyes are just, there's something going on with my eyes. Like, there's always something with me that just needs to be fixed. And now it's my eyes. I can't see. Everything's blurry. They hurt. They're dry. And it's just an ordeal.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I need a minute to breathe and get my shit together, but I don't have any
You don't
time
have a minute ever.
And like I probably should like take time for myself and figure shit out, but also when I do have free time, I like fill it with social activities. I don't like to have free time, but it's like I need free time.
Yeah.
And so it's just this never-ending cycle of just being exhausted and having no time to do anything that I have to do, but then constantly saying yes to things and taking on way more than I can. And then I'm just like, why? I'm mad, but I can only be mad at myself, you know?
I don't get why, like, how you don't like free time.
I think it's like how you don't like silence.
Yeah. That makes sense. Because it's just her with her bone. But I will be getting the kitties soon.
Like, you don't need other people to, like, help you mentally. I mean, you do, but, like, for me, I need, like
validation.
Validation and...
I think, I mean, granted, I'm not a therapist, but this is just my thought here. You have been in, like, relationships, or you've, like, always been talking. I have never had that, like, person to constantly, like, talk to or assure me that they like me or that they love me or that I look good. Like, I've literally never, not once, really had that. Minus for, like, that brief period of time.
Yeah.
So I don't, like...
You don't need it.
Yeah.
You are fulfilled with yourself.
But also then, no, but I'm not fulfilled with myself. So then that is like a problem.
But you can be okay on your
own. I'm
like,
fine being on my own, but I'm almost too fine at being on my own now that it's like, I don't know how to add another person into that.
Just like opposites.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, like, I don't recall a time where I have ever been able to, like, validate myself or, like, speak kindly to myself even. Like, or lift myself up without joking about it. Like,
well, I think, yeah.
I need to get better at it, I know, but I just, like, I don't... How do you learn how to do something that you have never known how to do?
Well, I don't, like, hype myself up.
Yeah.
I'm never like, you're great. I'm always like, you are garbage. I don't think either of us are particularly happy, which is why, like... I think we're both talking about this and why it makes sense that neither.
Well, that's like, I'm happy, but it's just like there are things that it's just like inhibiting like my full potential, I guess. I would say, like, overall, I'm happy, but I just know that there are things in my way that are just like character flaws of myself that I'm too like busy and overwhelmed to like tackle and deal with.
I really love where this check-in has gone.
Do you?
Us just...
I love looking at you right now. Like, you are stunning.
Thank you.
Michaela got her hair done today.
I got my hair done today.
She is serving Mrs. Grey, I said.
Thank you.
Third movie.
Bitch. That's the best.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
Movie 3.
She is up.
We've always said hair goals, and right now you're giving hair goals.
Thank you. It's finally, like, the ends are finally healthy. Like, they're not crusty. It's back to being dark. I have bangs again. The bangs kind of match now our cover art a bit. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. It's a little poofy because she blow dried it, which I never did. I was telling her, I'm like, one of my friends was like, do you have a hair dryer? And I was like, no. And my friend couldn't comprehend how I didn't have a hair dryer.
Because I blow dry my hair like every 5 seconds.
Thank you. Yeah. That's my exciting thing.
Yeah.
I got my hair done.
You're back with the kitties after a brief...
I'm back with the kitties after a party, in which actually maybe all of you like kind of intro us into the things. That way I can go and check on them and try to move them into the basement.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't really have much to say. Spring Awakening was a fun time. Minus getting rained on.
Yeah, and being in a mosh pit without wanting to be.
When were we ever in a mosh pit?
When we were trying to get in.
Oh, yeah. That was trash. So I was going to say, otherwise, we were able... I still always felt like we were in, like, a good vantage point. Like, Martin Garrix was the farthest back that we ever were all weekend. Like, we always had a good spot.
Yeah.
Even with not ever being, like, fully immersed in a crowd.
Yeah. I know. I love that we do that.
Because I remember the first year and we would try to be, like, up as close as possible, and that's just not as fun. It's way more fun to just, like, be where you have space and to chill. So
there was that girl doing flips and stuff that we got to see.
Wild.
Yeah.
Was that an adventure club?
Yeah.
I think so, because it was dark out.
Yeah. Damn, she was going hard.
She was.
Are you gonna go?
I'm gonna go check on the kitties. Why don't you kind of intro what we're talking about?
Okay, hopefully we're on the same page about what we're talking about this time.
The Audacity of teen movies.
Okay. Movies.
Sorry, of teen shows.
Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah, so this improvised episode is brought to you by the Audacity of teen shows. What does that mean, you might ask? Well, I'll do my best to explain. I haven't had a full meal today, and I am just really, I worked a 9-hour shift, and I'm tired as fuck, so I will try to do this to the best of my ability, but we're gonna be talking about just how crazy
It's okay. Hurry. Ow,
content.
Ow! Fuck, dude! Ow! Okay, Kitty, you're gonna stay downstairs, okay? Mommy will be down soon for bedtime, okay?
Jesus, how early are you gonna go to bed?
Well, I'll probably head down there once you're gone and just read and like lay in bed.
Yeah.
It's already, by the time that you leave, it's gonna be like, I don't know.
Baby,
8:30.
Oh.
Babies, look at how pitiful they look. Oh my god. We're literally going home in the morning, and I promise you, LYLAS.
Let's get this shit done. Okay, we're talking about how crazy the content that was made for teens when we were teens was. We're talking Secret Life of the American Teenager. We're talking Pretty Little Liars. We're talking Glee.
One Tree Hill.
One Tree Hill. All the other crazy content and just the things that they were doing to entertain us back in the day and the warped sense of reality that they sent us into the world with.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, and kind of because I've been seeing a lot of TikToks recently talking about Ezra and Arya on Pretty Little Liars, and people like bashing the shit out of them for like including that relationship in the show.
Yeah.
And I am being like, it glamorizes pedophilia. And I was like, I literally never thought that as a teenager. Like, I never once was going to school and thinking like, I'm gonna fuck a teacher. Like, that never seemed like a realistic thing to me, because I was like, this is fiction and I'm living in reality. But I've always had like a very, I think, distinct sense of that, of like fiction reality.
That's
that
good
maybe
for you,
some
'cause
people
I
didn't
haven't.
have.
I didn't.
Did you think you were gonna go to school and fuck a teacher?
No, but I definitely had a very warped sense of reality. I have always been living with my head in the fucking clouds. We know
I think
this.
that's a good thing though.
Yeah, but at what cost?
Once again, we're like the opposite. I'm constantly being like, this is what's realistic, and you're just like, merriment.
Yeah, but
I'm going to get murdered. Let me trust the stranger.
yeah, well, here's the thing that really pisses me off, and this might be a bit of a deviation, but it's still a big qualm, and I think I'm just gonna blame all of my shortcomings in life on this, as I do a lot of things, because I can't accept the fact that I'm inadequate. A lot of shows and films from back in our day, and even now maybe, it's just like the lead female character doesn't really have to do a whole lot. She just has to be a good person and be at the right place at the right time, and like shit just kind of works out for her. Like Gabriella Montez from High School Musical just kind of bopped around, and then she like was the star of the Twinkletown musicale.
Lizzie McGuire just looked like a celebrity.
Yeah,
got her own
and like
show.
it's not like they had to really like try hard.
Did you see him starting to slip?
No.
Dorian.
A lot of female characters don't really have to do anything. Like, you don't really have to try. You just have to be a good person, and like things just kind of fall into your lap. And
Yeah.
so I think that kind of gave me a warped sense of reality. Like, I don't know. I just always wanted to like be involved in the arts, but I never like tried to do anything in the arts.
Because you thought you would just like walk down the hallway and get a starring role.
Yeah, and like magically do it. And that's just not how the fucking world works. Call it privilege, call it being a dumb bitch. I call it watching content made for me.
Call it being a dumb bitch.
But yeah, no, also like One Tree Hill genuinely like had me thinking that I was gonna marry my high school boyfriend when we turned 18.
Did you like genuinely really think that?
Yes. Like, and yeah. And that's just like, I hate that. That just like makes me cringe. I don't know. Ugh. I feel like One Tree Hill just really influenced like my like relationships at that early stage in life. Like, I'm pretty sure people would be able to attest to that. But like that show really like influence things, and I don't know why. It just like film and television makes things look desirable and like especially when you're a young and impressionable teen that just wants people to like you, you're gonna like act like the people that you like and look up to. And when those people are not living in reality, they're living in a show where shit just works out. Like,
well, let's get into some of the shit that One Tree Hill tried to pull. First of all, they had us believing, or had Katie believing, that you were going to marry your high school boyfriend in high school.
yeah, like when we turned 18.
Have that work out and have everyone in the school be like, oh my God. To top that off even more, she's having a baby at graduation.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not far-fetched. Like, I'm not saying by any means that there's not like teen pregnancy or that things like that don't happen, but they just really pulled that, and it was like, okay, you're stretching a little bit.
And they had an apartment.
But they had a fucking apartment
with bedrooms. He was emancipated.
How the fuck?
There's just a lot going on there, and in the short amount of time too. Like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna take a while for you to get emancipated.
Yeah, I don't think
what,
it's a
he
quick
was working at a
process.
freaking pretzel store in the mall and
I
paying for that
genuinely don't
apartment.
remember.
And Haley was tutoring and paying for that apartment.
Honey, I have a corporate job and I can afford a 1-bedroom, and that's literally it. Fucking garbage. Although I am like maxed out on my 401k, which apparently I'm told is great, but I don't think I'm gonna be around to see that money.
Congrats.
So let's see.
I don't know what a 401k is.
It's retirement.
Oh. The amount, like, they all, I feel like, moved around a lot. Like, there was one mom present, Karen.
Why the fuck was her name Karen? But yeah,
Karen and Keith.
The parents were never on. Did we like ever really see Brooke's parents?
No.
But yes, she lived in this massive fucking house.
Until like later in the series, remember when they're like adults and the mom is the manager?
The parents were like never really around. You're right. Literally, Karen was like the only parent, because even Peyton's dad was like a good parent, but he was like on a boat.
Yeah, and that's the only way like you could get away with this type of stuff. Like, they're sleeping over at each other's houses, they're moving in with each other. I don't know, they're just doing all this shit, and it's like where were Haley's parents? She just had a bunch of siblings.
Yeah, so they like didn't really care about her. Like, they seemed like nice people. I remember when they wanted to get married, I remember them like being supportive of that, because they had to sign it because Haley wasn't emancipated. Like, she was 17.
Yeah.
So they literally had to like give their consent for their 17-year-old
like,
daughter.
Well, you've always had a good head on your shoulders. It's like, okay, just because you get good grades doesn't mean you're ready to get fucking
to be married. There's that. There's the getting married very young and thinking that that's what was going to happen. But then there were just some of the storylines that they pulled. They just really thought that we were all just fine with. Where to even begin?
Haley goes on tour moments after
Chris
they
Keller
elope.
I forgot about him. I loved him.
Yeah.
Also, he's married to Grace from Secret Life of the American Teenager, Megan Park.
Wow.
They're married. They're really cute. How the fuck did she get a record deal in like the podunk town that they lived in?
Yeah, didn't Faith Hill like come in? I don't even remember how that fucking happened, but also who cares? They had that. They had
the school shooting. I won't even say is outrageous because that's not like a far-fetched storyline by any means, and I actually think that's one of the better episodes. But like Nanny Carey
on one, Lucas's like heart palpitations.
I forgot about that.
That wasn't like a bad storyline. It's just kind of like Grey's Anatomy. Like, how much shit can actually happen to one group of people?
Which I get it. I want the drama and I want the excitement, but it's the audacity of them to pull like the Nanny Carey storyline, that this nanny is going to be literally insane and kidnap Jamie, and like the Nate is kidnapped by the basketball mafia in the last season.
Yeah, and the audacity of us for sticking with it and just being like, okay.
I watched that whole show 3 times through. I loved that show. Oh, and then Clay's like ex-wife who's dead but not dead and
she
comes
has
back
like a doppelganger
Yeah.
from hell
and tries to like kill both of them. I think she stabs them.
Yeah.
And they're like left bleeding out and someone finds them in time.
Yeah. Wow. And then remember, I fucking love what's his name? Julian.
I loved him.
But remember when, like, okay, so
he
he's
left
making
the twins in the car.
Yeah. He's making a movie based on a book that Lucas wrote,
Mm-hmm.
and Lucas used to fuck Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
Wild shit. Yeah, he leaves the twins in the car and then goes and gets himself beat up at the bar.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that.
And then remember when, like, Brooke falls into the water with the SUV or whatever? And
yes!
then she's like...
With Rachel.
No, it was
The
Miss
limo.
Honey or whatever. Their teacher was driving Jamie and Madison, which that is against school code. It's gotta be.
I don't think I remember.
It was
that.
after something, and Miss Honey or whatever was like, I can drive Jamie home, which that should be a red flag, and you shouldn't let your child's teacher drive them home unless, I guess I'm not a parent, but whatever. So she's driving these bitch asses home, and then it's storming, and I also feel like there was a storm in this town every other episode.
Yeah.
But
they had bad weather.
They do. This power line or something falls. I don't know. But they got in a car accident, and Julian and Brooke find them and pull over and are helping them. Madison and Miss how do I remember these fuckers' names? Madison and Miss Honey get out of the car and they're safe or whatever, and Brooke is like trying to help Jamie get out because his seatbelt is stuck. And then something like, or a car comes and like hits their car into the river, and so then Jamie and Brooke are like trapped in the car, and then Julian jumps in and he's like trying to get Brooke out because he loves Brooke obviously, and Jamie is just like drowning in the back, and Brooke is like, he's a child, save him. Okay, Sophia Bush can act, period. She's fun to watch. And this is making me want to go watch that episode right now. But that was wild.
Do you remember that Jamie was also like an adult on the show? Like, yes, he was a child, but he was like constantly having deep conversations with these adults.
Yeah, and like helping them see the light.
Yeah, it's like, shut up. I don't want it. Do you also remember the episode then? What I was thinking of with that, aren't Dan and Rachel like in a limo, and doesn't it flip off of a bridge? And also, wasn't it like insinuated that Rachel was hooking up with Dan, even though Rachel's a literal high schooler?
No, it was Nathan's cousin Cooper or Uncle Cooper or whatever, and Rachel was like in love with him.
Yes.
And they were driving the limo and they like drove off.
Yes.
And then Nathan jumped in after them.
Do you also remember when Brooke's assistant then had a drug problem? Quinn? No. What was her name?
Well, didn't Mindy?
Millicent. Millie.
She like had that whole 0 is not a size moment.
Yeah.
And then she skyrocketed into fame.
Yeah.
And then she
did drugs.
Started doing cocaine.
And then Alex was like, I can't be with you like this. The bodyguard. Do you remember Brooke's?
No, dude. Alex was the actress.
Oh, yeah.
That was trying to fuck Julian. And then I'm pretty sure she tried to kill herself. Trigger warning.
But do you remember Brooke's bodyguard that's Sofia Vergara's husband? Wasn't he in that for a hot second? And wasn't he the one who like found Rachel like in the shower, in Brooke's shower, and like rescued y'all? You know.
Oh yeah, she overdosed too.
We'll
also, Peyton's fucking crazy ass brother.
How can we forget about that in all of this?
That's a fun episode to watch on Halloween time, when her and Brooke fake fight to get out of it, but they're actually fighting.
See, so I mean, entertainment value, and again, I'm not looking at this show to be the realistic picture of fiction, because what always bothered me is when we were watching Pretty Little Liars and everyone would be like, they're never in school. When are they doing their schoolwork? I don't want to see them in fucking class.
True.
I want to see them out tracking down A.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't looking for this to be realistic. I'm just saying, like, the shit that they pulled on us and just thought that it was okay, a la Nate being kidnapped by the basketball mafia in the last season.
And Haley just being on hot pursuit because she finds that fucking bunny stuffed animal.
Oh my god, dude. Literally, what is
and
this
him
shit?
like just being in the NBA with his 5 foot.
Do you remember when he played trampoline basketball for a while?
Yeah. Oh my god. I hated, sorry, this is turning into One Tree Hill, but I hated the jump into the future when Nathan was all tragic.
I know.
That was so shitty, but Jamie was so cute in the first
Jamie was really cute. Do you remember when he rolled into the pool?
And she was like, we're getting a divorce.
All I'm saying is One Tree Hill, y'all really pulled a lot of shit on us over the years, and we just had your back. And now looking back, I can't believe we let you
Thank
get
God
away with
I
that.
didn't get married in high school. Also, my parents would have literally never allowed that.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on. I never watched Secret Life of an American Teen. I
Never did?
I've seen episodes and it's just so god awful that I'm like, no.
Have you seen that You're My Whore? So Shailene Woodley's crying on a bench because she's a teen, or she's pregnant and she's a teen. And she goes, I'm such a whore, crying. And then this awkward ass dude, his name was Ben, goes, aw, but you're my whore.
Oh, I remember Ben and hating that bitch ass.
Yeah, Ben was the actual worst. Granted, my memories of this show are fuzzy because it's been so long since I've watched it. Like One Tree Hill, I've gone back and watched like certain episodes over the years, and same with Pretty Little Liars. But but Secret Life, I've literally never watched since I watched it the first time. But again, like they had everyone getting pregnant. They had like the most unrealistic fucking relationships. They had Ricky living in a nice ass apartment above this deli that he worked at, again supporting himself and his child, and made it look like this is all hunky dory. I don't know. That show was just wild. It's mostly the dialogue and the cringe level that is that show that they got away with. It's not necessarily like crazy plot points because the whole entire show is basically like them getting pregnant or them in relationships, but they had the audacity for one of the girls to get pregnant by Ben and then carry her baby all the way and deliver it and have it be a stillborn. They literally had the audacity to do that on a show of teenagers. Like, I'm not saying that doesn't happen so that you shouldn't show it, but when that happens, Arms of an Angel in the arms. That song is playing and everyone in the waiting room like finds out and they're all like it's
so
whacked.
They were happy about the baby coming into the world?
They like got excited. This was Adrian and Ben, and Adrian was always like the bad girl. She's like she was the one who was always dating Ricky, but then Ricky got Amy pregnant.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. I can picture her.
So then Adrian and Ben got pregnant.
Who was fucking Ben?
I don't know.
For what?
I don't know. And then they really, this is what I'm most mad about, is that they really had us rooting for Amy and Ricky this whole show. And it looks like they're going to be together. And in the very last episode, or like the second to last episode, Amy breaks up with Ricky. And I was like, Shailene, what are you doing?
Doesn't she name her baby Ben too? What's the baby's name?
I don't think so. But now that you say that, I don't know what the baby's name was.
I also feel like her life isn't secret or American.
I feel like it's pretty American. It's dumb. What is the baby's name on Secret? Oh, not what is Adrian's baby? Mercy. Oh my god, they got married. I forgot about that. Do Ben and Adrian get a divorce?
They get married and then they get a divorce.
I forgot that they were fucking married.
What the shit, tits?
Oh
Does
my
this
God.
all happen when they're in high school? Do they ever graduate?
John. That was his name.
Oh.
John Jurgens.
His last name is Jurgens?
Yeah, Amy Jurgens.
Like the fucking...
Jurgens.
Wait, is her name Jurgens or is
Yeah.
Ricky's name Jurgens?
Yeah. Oh no, it's Amy Jurgens. I don't remember what Ricky's last name was, but I always loved
Jurgens
Ricky.
is a fucking lotion brand.
She never wants to have sex again after childbirth. Yeah, it's
What the fuck?
it's just all bad. We
Well.
can move on. I don't have anything more to say except that I don't know how they literally had that show on the air for so long. And
And they
Shailene
had-
Woodley, I'm so sorry, and I'm so happy that you could emerge from that victorious.
Molly fucking Ringwald was in that shit too. How the Mighty Have Fallen.
Garbage rat. Let's save Pretty Little Liars for last. So I never watched Glee except for the one season I tried to watch for the pod. So why don't you jump into Glee?
I think just surface level things are unrealistic. I think being involved in multiple activities is a stretch. Like I was involved in sports and orchestra, and even that was a stretch.
Yeah.
Like orchestra I didn't really put a whole lot of effort into because it was just like a class. But if it would have been an after school activity, like I wouldn't have been able to do it because I was always at some sort of practice or something.
Yeah.
For sports. So the fact that these football players and cheerleaders are also in the Glee club.
And it looks like they're always meeting after school.
Are they meeting after school or during school? Because the bell is ringing. I don't know. Is it a class? Because that would be a fun class, and I wouldn't see a qualm with having a free period of Glee.
No.
Where you just hang.
Yeah.
And listen to a bitch sing about her feelings.
But doesn't sound like my idea of a good time, but you do you.
Another thing is this Glee Club is constantly underfunded. They're always talking about how no one cares about the arts. They're underfunded, blah, blah, blah. We can't even afford a bus, sectionals or whatever. And they have to do like this sad little bake sale where they can't afford the bus. The school won't pay for a bus for Artie, who is in a wheelchair, with like a wheelchair lift.
That's like discrimination.
Yeah. So instead of like protesting that, as they should have, they all decide to sit in wheelchairs for the school week. Yeah. As their assignment, and then they do a bake sale to try to raise money for the school bus. And then they do like Proud Mary.
I've seen that.
Rolling on the river.
Yeah, I've seen that on TikTok.
That's offensive. Oh, and I think they were also trying to get like a ramp installed for Artie. I don't know. They can't afford this bus, but they can afford wheelchairs for all these fucking kids. That's not even the biggest thing. The performances that they're putting on, they're insane. They have water on the stage falling when they're doing Singing in the Rain mashup with Umbrella. They got flashing lights and all these costumes and everything. And I wish, to this day, that the show would have been like, oh, it's all in their heads. Like done some, and they do that sometimes. Like the kids are kind of imagining themselves as like these superstars, but I wish they did that more instead of trying to be like, well, they're this ragtag group of kids. Yeah. That can't afford anything but except for these really nice gowns for this musical number. Finn and Rachel trying to get married in high school. Stop it.
Well, and then didn't Quinn have a baby?
Quinn had a baby, and then she gave it up to Rachel's birth mother.
Idina Menzel.
Everything really hit the fan when they left high school, and it was kind of like, where are we now?
Some shows really can't survive that time jump.
Yeah, and like just the relationships too, like trying to keep them all together and how it all ended up working out. Like Kurt and Blaine, like Blaine cheats on Kurt while Kurt is in New York, and then they get back together somehow because Sue like traps them in an elevator because she's like a big fan of Kurt and Blaine being together. There's just a lot. Like Sue, I love her, but she tries to like shoot Brittany out of a cannon. Like there's just no way that people would let that happen. Also, why is this dentist coming into school in the Brittany episode? Yeah. Like, what is the meaning of this? I'm hungry.
Was that your stomach?
Yeah.
I thought that was a plane outside. Because sometimes you can like hear them just faintly flying overhead, and I genuinely thought that that's what that was. Because it was like soft enough, but also like powerful enough.
Oh my god, I need to eat something. I don't know. Glee is Glee. We all know it's outrageous.
Okay, kind of our last big teen show that just, I think this is our last kind of one. That really, this is what kind of sparked the conversation idea, because well, we were talking about, I think on an episode recently, we were like, we should have a child. Like, what if like us two combined had a child? Mm-hmm. And then we were like, do you remember in Pretty Little Liars when they straight up impregnated Allison with Emily's eggs?
Yeah.
And we were like, what the fuck? Pretty Little Liars, you pulled a lot of shit. But again, I wasn't mad at it because it made like for a very dramatic show. Mm-hmm. But looking back, I'm like, you just, what the... Who was in the writer's room? Marlene. So, I mean, right off the bat, I don't really think anything in the show at the beginning was that honestly outrageous. I feel like it got bad after the third season. And that's when they really just said, nothing is off the table.
Yeah. Is that when Spencer went to, like...
Spencer went to Radley in the third season at the end, which I liked that storyline. I liked Spencer snapping.
Yeah.
Because of Toby. And then the fourth season was when Ezra then was like A for a hot second. When they just kept making like every random person A. And then there was like the creepy lady with the blue eyes, Mrs. Grunwald, for a while.
Yeah, and them trying to make it like tie in with Ravenswood.
Yeah.
That was bad.
And then they totally got their timelines mixed up. Like Wilden was basically a cop at the age of like 6 years old, according to their timeline. But the wacky storyline, like fucking Cece
Yeah.
being a
Mrs. De Laurentiis also has a twin, right?
yes, who's actually Spencer's birth mother because
Her
she,
dad had an affair.
yeah, and then she gave birth to twins who then in the very final episode, the last episode ever, we find out that Spencer has a twin. Then there was that stuff with like Bethany Young and it was like actually her body in Allison's grave for a hot second. Then we had Allison's fiance being Allison's husband being Charlotte's boyfriend who marries her to like manipulate her, steal her money, and send her to a mental hospital and then impregnate her with Emily and Ren's eggs.
I didn't know it was Ren's.
It's Ren's killed. It's his kids.
And so he donated sperm and Emily was freezing her eggs?
Yeah.
Why was he donating sperm?
He wasn't donating sperm. Because he was in love with Alex, who is Spencer's twin. And Spencer was like, you need to help me with this project. And I don't know if willingly or unknowingly she got his sperm from him. Fertilized.
That is like
Emily's
class
eggs.
action lawsuit. Like,
yeah.
because if he didn't knowingly like consent to that,
there was a lot of things that class action lawsuit, a lot of things that they should have been sued over. Also basically anything that involved Mona. I just think overall they just really thought that they had us for so long and they knew that they could literally do whatever the fuck they wanted because people were going to keep watching because they needed to know how it all ended because people were like tied up at that point.
yeah.
So people were going to keep watching and they could do this wild shit and get away with it.
Yeah, and you're just adding like to the craziness, and I think we were all like, there's no way they're gonna tie this up in a satisfying way, but at the same time we were like, maybe they will. And I
Yeah.
still to this day want to know who the fuck killed Maya.
That's revealed at some point who did kill Maya. I think it was Nathan. It was the guy that Emily stabbed.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Emily's again, that's a weird ass storyline too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, all absentee parents. Well, the parents were around a lot, but they didn't do a whole lot.
Yeah.
And then when they were sometimes involved, what the hell? But the biggest thing that I've been seeing recently mostly talked about is, as I preluded to earlier, is talking about Ezra and Arya's relationship. And I just want to know, like, when you were watching that, do you remember thinking, like, this is insane? Or do you remember just being like, oh yeah?
I just kind of remember being like, well, that's what adults do, I guess. But I wasn't like, that's what I'm gonna do eventually.
I
And like, to me, when, you know, we were young, and so I was just kind of like, they're older than me, and I don't understand that. So like,
yeah.
it is what it is. I wasn't like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember feeling any like specific type of way about it. I just knew that like it was against the rules at school for that to be happening.
Yeah. And I think if they want, like, if you actually had like a 16-year-old and a teacher, like, it would be very obvious. Like, I feel like even then with us being younger, it would be obvious, like, that's wrong. But Lucy Hale and Ian Harding are like the same age. So when they're together, they don't like look super different. Like, it doesn't look that weird. And again, yeah, I don't remember watching that and being like, oh my god, I can't believe that they're allowing this on TV. And now everyone's going back with like a lot of critique for that specifically. And I'm just kind of, I don't know, like, it's a TV show. Like, people murder people in TV shows, and like Dexter, and people are like, oh, great show. But like the second that it has something to do with like a romantic subplot, granted, while it's a student-teacher relationship in high school, which is obviously wrong, like, we just know this, so is murder, and no one's like critiquing those shows for that.
Yeah, it's like a weird fine line because this is a show made
For
young
teens.
people, whereas like, or in a scenario like that, the adult should know better. It's not on the kid to know. And like, when we were watching the show, we didn't know better because we were just watching an entertaining show, and we weren't necessarily like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to meet the teacher of my dreams someday. But we were just like going along with it and not really thinking anything of it. And I think a kid in that problematic scenario also doesn't really think anything of it because they're a fucking kid. I can see where people are like, this is desensitizing people, but it's really not, because we wouldn't have been attuned to that either way.
Yeah.
And if we were in that type of scenario with adult teacher, it wouldn't have been like, well, this is okay because they do it on Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
It's still on the adult in the relationship to know that it's wrong, and if the kid, whether or not they know like it's wrong or not, that's not on the kid. So like, I don't know. You can say what you want about it, but I see what you're saying.
Me personally, like, it's not going to change my opinion of the whole show because they had this relationship on there. And also, like, if you watch shows like A Teacher, like, there are shows out there that show that type of relationship and like make it uncomfortable because it's like supposed to be, because that's how it's supposed to be in real life. But in this like situation, when you're watching this show, I was never thinking like, oh my god, I can't believe that like they're together. I was like, who's A? And granted, like you said, I think we were in high school when this show came out, so we were like similar in age too. And again, like I really don't feel, I don't know. I mean, granted, everything hits people differently, but just for me, I have a pretty lenient line with fiction depicting things versus reality. So I think that's been kind of like the one outstanding storyline from that show. But honestly, that story, like, I don't even think of that when I think of wild storylines. I think of being impregnated with your friend's eggs. But, you know, to each their own. And even now, I think with shows like Riverdale, granted, I've never watched it, so I'm not speaking from an educated perspective on this. But, I mean, am I really ever? But I do think that, again, like, teen writers just think they can get away with whatever the fuck they want to. And I think that's showcased by Riverdale even today, that it wasn't just to do with the early 2010s shows, that the foolery is still going on and people just buy it.
Yeah, I mean, there are like the staples that teens like gravitate towards, you know, like relationships and friendships and drama and, you know, stuff that you think you're gonna be dealing with in high school, and some of it you do deal with, like maybe not as on that like dramatic of a level. But yeah, I don't know, I think you can get away with a lot more when you're writing for even like the Disney Channel, like the fucking dialogue on that and shit. Like, your audience is less experienced and less aware of how the world actually works, so they're less critical and more open-minded, which might be a good thing. Who knows?
Or I feel like Grey's Anatomy at this point.
Yeah.
They know they can get away with whatever because people keep watching.
Yep. If you know you don't have to try very hard and still make a lot of money, more power to you. Mm-hmm. Sucks, but that's the world we live in.
Yep.
And on that note, I can't see anything. My eyes are fucked.
My eyes are fucked now.
They are so fucked up, and I hate everything. And I'm probably gonna get fired because I was on my phone.
I really doubt that.
They are not in a position where they can fire me, so.
Yeah. So I highly doubt you're getting fired. Did they say anything about your request for time off?
They said no.
All right, that's it for this week. Next week I think we do have, why am I feeling like we have a new movie?
Yeah, I feel like we do too. There's gotta be something coming up.
Trage. We don't have anything for next week.
We'll figure something out for next week. We always do. And I hope that you have a great weekend. LYLAS. Sorry, we're awful.
Sorry, we suck.